everybody. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching The Political Vigilante. Make Gotham great again. So we've been talking about this for a month now. Unfortunately, I am not in favor of what Putin has done, and I'm against all wars. And I've done numerous videos showing how the Western media has been very one-sided in showing of this, and we're talking about how we're talking about Putin's war crimes as though America hasn't committed any just in the last 20 years in the global war on terror. I mean, 1 million people are dead in Iraq. I mean, a war that we were lied into. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Not excusing anything that Putin is doing, but we act like in America, we've never done anything bad. And we're the worst offenders of war crimes. We are. And especially when it comes, and then we're talking about, well, what if Putin drops nukes? Well, there's only one country on this planet that's used nukes. That's the United States. And we did it in Japan, in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And we did an episode of Government Secrets where Lee Camp showed actually the Japanese were willing to surrender, and we didn't want to we didn't accept their surrender because we wanted to use nukes to test it on actual human beings and innocent civilians. Wasn't that a war crime? Well, now the media is basically saying it's okay to, it's like there's some low-level nukes that are going to be okay to use. If Putin uses them, we got to use them. So this is the insanity that is coming out of the corporate media that gets a lot of its money from the military-industrial complex. I've shown you that, how the military-industrial complex spent $49 million donating to all candidates from both parties in 2020. Right? Trump got $2.7 million. Biden got $3.1 million. So this is what it pays for. This is in the New York Times, March 22nd. The smaller bombs that could turn Ukraine into a nuclear war zone. The headline isn't no nukes. Because it's like if we say it's that Ukraine is a no-fly zone and then Russia goes in there, then we have to defend it. So we're going to have NATO troops, which is basically America going toe-to-toe with Russia. This article is insane. This article, it's a very lengthy article, but it's crazy. It talks about how big the nuclear bombs were that we dropped in Japan and what they are today, and how there's like smaller ones that are kind of more manageable. This is the same. I remember as a kid in the 70s and 80s at the height of the Cold War and listening to as a kid, listening to psychopaths talk about acceptable losses. Nuclear war will end life on planet Earth. Okay? Not according to these nutbags. Today, both Russia and the United States have nuclear arms that are much less destructive than the ones used in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Again, the United States, the only country to ever use it. Their power just fractions of the Hiroshima bomb force. Their use perhaps less frightening and more thinkable. More thinkable. So they're planting that seed into the American people. Hey, we might have to drop a few nukes or so just to keep things honest. More thinkable. Less frightening and more thinkable? A more thinkable nuclear weapon. A less frightening nuclear weapon. That's like an ethical child pornographer. You know what I mean? Like a kinder, gentler sex trafficking pedophile. You know what I mean? It's all horrific. The fear is that if Putin feels cornered in the conflict, something we have been doing, I've shown you the video, that Stephen Cohen said on Democracy Now! In 2014, saying we're provoking Russia into a war in the Ukraine, and we're using Ukraine as basically a proxy war. And the Ukrainian people, you're being used. You're being used by the United States. And the United States military and the United States politicians in both parties don't give a shit about you. I hope Ukrainians understand that. Please understand this. The American military industrial complex that controls the government does not care about you. This is in the New York Times. We're pushing Putin into this. I'm not excusing anything Putin has done. Don't like him. Don't like what he's doing. Don't like this war. I don't like war. I've been to Iraq and Afghanistan as a comedian. I've seen war up close. It's awful. The fear is that if Putin feels cornered in this conflict, he might choose to detonate one of his lesser nuclear arms, breaking the taboo set 76 years ago after Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The taboo set by the United States. I forget what episode number it is, but go back to Government Secrets. We talk about, Lee shows all this evidence how Japan was willing to surrender. They were done. Japan was done. They were going to surrender, and we didn't accept their surrender so that we could bomb the shit out of them and kill innocent civilians. That's America. And we always play this like we had no choice card. Oh, God. Putin is using nuclear deterrence to have his way in Ukraine, said Nina Tannenwald, the political scientist at Brown University, who recently profiled the less powerful armaments. So now we got Ivy League, female scholars in Ivy League schools saying these lesser nukes are they're not that bad. They're not that scary. They're talking about this. And of course, we're just going to make it out. Putin's the big bad guy. Putin's the big bad guy. Putin's going to use bioweapons in Ukraine. You mean the bio labs that America had in Ukraine before this invasion started? So we already had bioweapons there. His nuclear weapons could keep the West from intervening. A global race for the smaller arms is intensifying. Though such weapons are less destructive by Cold War standards, modern estimates show that the equivalent of half of a Hiroshima bomb, if detonated in Midtown Manhattan, would kill or injure 500,000 people. Oh, so not everybody in Manhattan. Hey, hear that, New Yorkers? Does it make you feel good? Do you live in a big city? I grew up in Chicago. I live in LA. I mean, come on. We just blow up a bomb and only 500,000 people die instead of like 5-10 million. Oh, those are acceptable losses. They're saying acceptable losses without saying acceptable losses. Less scary, more friendly nuclear weapons. And hey, only kill or injure 500,000. Just hope you're not in the 500,000. Just hope you're in the other couple million people in Manhattan that will then have to deal with just the post-apocalyptic nightmare of a nuke devastating your city. This is madness. These are the sociopaths that run this country. In 2010, Obama, war criminal, dropped more bombs than Bush. So if we're going to call Putin a war criminal, okay, let's call Obama one then. Let's call Bush one then. Let's call Trump one. And let's call Biden one. And all of their vice presidents, Kamala, Pence, well, Biden now we know. Remember Biden, he wrote the 94 crime bill to help put millions of black men behind bars. Bill Clinton ratified it. Anyway, I don't want to get tangled up in the past. In 2010, Obama, who had long advocated for a nuclear-free world, decided to refurbish and improve the NATO weapons, turning them into smart bombs with maneuverable fins that made their targeting highly precise. Oh, our bombs are precise. This is the same insane language. Precise, laser guided. This is the stuff we've been saying in the Middle East. Laser guided. We don't kill innocents. Maybe some collateral damage. 90% of all the people killed by American bombs and drone strikes are unintended targets. That was under Obama. So 90% of the people in the Middle East we killed were innocent civilians. But hey, right? Every Muslim isn't a terrorist, but every terrorist is a Muslim. So we probably got some of them, right? So we have precise weaponry, but Putin has just got these old, dusty, old Soviet rockets that he's just blowing everybody up with. The mainstream media wants nuclear war. Why? Because we spend a lot of the defense industry spends a lot of money on ads. War in Ukraine rallies support in Congress for more military spending. That's what the problem is. We haven't spent enough money on the military. Democratically controlled Congress last year approved $768 billion for Joe Biden's war budget. It got sent over to the Senate to get ratified. And the Senate, well, what are they going to do? You know, the Democrats have control, but they don't have a super majority. Oh, of course. Bipartisan. Whenever you hear bipartisan, you know, a bunch of money is going to be spent to benefit the ruling class, and regular Americans get screwed. So the democratically controlled Senate, they did not give Joe Biden $768 billion. They gave him $778 billion, an extra $10 billion. Now, you and I can't have health care in the middle of a pandemic, even though Western Europe has had free health care for probably 70, 80 years. We can't even get free health care in the middle of a once in 100-year pandemic. We can't get student debt forgiveness, something Joe Biden could do with the swipe of a pen. 85% of all student loans are federal. So he could just say, forgive it. He doesn't even have to get spending. He doesn't have to get taxpayer dollars. He just says, you don't have to pay it back, which would infuse like $1.5 trillion into the American economy. Nope, we can't get that, but we got money for war. But at least we're probably, COVID is still going on. Some businesses still haven't recovered. I know people who still aren't working because their industry got shut down from 2 years ago from COVID. But at least Congress and the Senate, both controlled by the Democrats. And even if they were controlled by the Republicans, we'd all still get screwed anyway. I just want to make this very clear. I'm very critical of the Democrats because they're in power right now. But the Republicans are evil, greedy monsters, just like the Democrats. But we're going to get some COVID relief. Oh, shit. House passes $1.5 trillion spending plan. Ukraine aid in. COVID funding out. Bipartisan. Remember, you know what that word means. Bend over and jam it. That's what that word means. Passed 361 to 69. This was on March 9th. That $49 million that the defense industry spent in 2020 to Republicans and Democrats. Bernie got $800 grand, Kristen Gillibrand, all these Republicans, Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, all of them all got a bunch of money. It's paid off. You and I are screwed over. You facing eviction, you facing foreclosure. Sorry, we can't help you. We shut your industry down because of the pandemic. We didn't give you any money. That's not our fault. We got to spend on war. So these are the psychos in the corporate media. The New York Times pushes for war. They pushed for the Iraq war. They're not independent journalists anymore because the defense industry spends money all over the place. But we're going to hear psycho things like more thinkable nukes, right? It's a taboo. Only 500,000 dead people. That's a number we can all live with, right? I mean, we only have 900,000 dead people from COVID. That was mismanaged by Trump and Biden. That's why I didn't vote for either one of those rapists. They're both rapists. Yep. Oh, don't look at the who's really controlling things. Just pick a team, red state, blue state, and buy their jersey and paint your face like you are at a sporting event and yell and scream at the other team. And don't look at who's really controlling everything. If Trump would have won, we'd still be this. We would have pushed Russia into this war because Trump was paid $2.7 million. Biden was paid $3.1 million. All right, guys, 500,000 people dead by a less scary nuke. Does it make you rest easy? These are the psychos in the media that are paid by the psychos in the military industrial complex. The defense industry could be spending all this money to make people's lives better. Green energy, whatever, reversing the climate change. By the way, the IPCC report came out a couple weeks ago, said that there's irreversible stuff. They specifically named Florida. There's irreversible damage in Florida that they're just going to have to evacuate. I'm so glad we're not spending any time or money on saving the human race from extinction, from climate collapse. And instead we're spending money on war and talking about acceptable losses with nukes. Man, does the human race, specifically the American gets it. The American greedy capitalist 1%er, boy, they get it. They're just going to get on a rocket and fly out of here while we all are like eating each other in some post-apocalyptic hellscape. But keep voting for the lesser of two evils. If you vote for Republicans, you're a chump. If you vote for Democrats, you're a chump. But don't listen to me. Listen to whatever the idiots on MSNBC or Fox say. That'll be great. Follow the money, connect the dots, get the truth, or pick red team, blue team, and be a moron and watch the world burn to death and support war because it's good for business. Yay. That's sarcasm, by the way. Boom. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching. We are still in our 9th month of demonetization from YouTube. So support what we're doing at patreon.com/Graham Elwood or rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, which is a blockchain cryptocurrency platform. It's free to sign up, and there's a premium level at $10 a month. And for that, you get everybody on the platform's premium content. Myself, Lee Camp, Ron Placone, Jimmy Dore, Whitney Webb, Kim Iverson, Abby Martin, and many, many others. You can also support what we're doing at Venmo at Graham-Elwood and go to GrahamElwood.com. We have a PayPal button and a PO box. I also have crypto wallets, which are all in the show notes. Thanks for supporting what we do.